Action.
Hello, this is me, Michelle and Tackett, and this is, of course, the lovely, adorable Erica Burns.
Hi, guys.
Looking extra lovely today in her little cute lipstick and stuff.
Oh, thanks.
Well, welcome to another conversation. Now, this is going to be close to my heart because it's about disabled people and disability and how hard this society makes it for disabled people. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I've even lost friends because of my disability. And Indiana, a lot of people here, unfortunately, look at disabled people like they're parasites. There's a lot of good people here, too. But a lot of people here think that disabled people are just out for a free ride. And I'm like, okay, if I could drive a car by myself, which I can't, I would love to do that, for myself. I mean, if I could live on my own, I don't know if I would because I just like having people around. But, it's just, when you're just saying, and it's like, I had to wait years before I got my disability. Years. And it really bugged me because I've always had epilepsy, I've had autism, I've had depression, anxiety, I have all these incontinence and stuff, and yet it took me till 2018 to get it. And I was working and going to school, and I was only getting 2 hours of rest a day. Just trying to prove to myself that I could do it and that, I could rise above my disabilities and stuff. And now 10 hours of sleep is not good enough for me sometimes. All because I felt inadequate being a disabled person. And I hate how society puts that kind of pressure on us. Some people can overcome it. Some people can't. When are people going to learn that we're not the same? We have billions of DNA cells and structures and atoms and stuff. And what? You think that millions of people are going to be able to do the same thing? Come on. I've actually been happier since I haven't, worked because I've been able to sleep more. And yeah, my anxiety and depression still kick my butt sometimes, but it's not as bad. Like when I was working, I would have a panic attack sometimes. Because I was so determined not to mess up, get things right, and I think that society needs to stop. Like, oh, you can walk and stuff? Well, you're not disabled. To a lot of people, they don't look at you as disabled until you're in a wheelchair and you can't speak or move or think. And other things like if you want to get on SSI, you can't have more than 3,000 in savings if you're living with more than one person. I'm just sitting there like, why? The average person needs about 10,000 in their savings, just so that way they can, if something happened, they'd have 6 months worth of money. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, so what if I lost my disability? What would I do? It would take me about a year to get my disability back. So I only have 3,000 miserable dollars. That's ridiculous. And you told me that's why you would always get, because of your savings. And I think that's just ridiculous. To me, you saving back money means you're being responsible.
Yeah.
And trying to think ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, $3,000 is what I had in my savings at the end of 2019. And I was like, purposely, I just remember trying not to spend money on anything, really, if I could help it, because it was all going to my rent and stuff. And I was just trying to make sure I kept that $3,000 of savings. And here I thought at that time, I was like, oh, I'm doing better. 2020 is going to be the best year yet because I'm saving more money now. But I realized then, like, how poor I really was and how, like, how bad off I really was. And, like, it all caught up to me. Like, it hadn't caught up to me. I think I'd been maybe suppressing it up to that point to some degree. I don't know. But, like, I just realized how screwed in a lot of ways I, like, was at risk of being and how much, like, I had to, like, you know, like, I don't know what I expected. I just expected I was on a road to nowhere, you know, and I still don't know what road I'm on, but yeah, I mean, when you say the 3,000 in savings, it does make me think about the $3,000 I had in savings and how, I mean, that has grown, but it's only because I've been living with people, you know, and got like good unemployment from the pandemic or from COVID and everything. So, I mean, yeah, it's just, it's a lot. Like, and I just realizing too, like, Michelle, like, I know you said when you were in your late 20s, like, it hit you, like, how, like, I guess you were like, it hit you, like, how, like, you were supposed to be grown up, but you hadn't grown up or something. And, like, you know, that's kind of like what happened to me at, like, late 27, early 28. I just, like, it hit me all at once. Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, it was just like holy shit, like all this time, like I thought I was going in circles going nowhere, like, and I think definitely being out in LA, that was one thing that was really like, wow, I haven't grown up being out there. So I just was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of LA. Like that is already like, so I mean, my friend let me stay with her. She's disabled too, lives on SSDI and everything, and she drinks. So, and I was like trying to quit the alcohol at that point. So, but yeah, I just realized like that I mean, I think I already knew I was disabled. Like I'd already like looked into disability, but I think really at that point I like was like realizing like, oh my God, I really do have like mental problems or you know, my abilities are limited, and it's maybe I don't, I mean, I can blame it on alcohol and stuff and just beat up on myself, but I think that's the pressure I'm feeling to beat up on myself when in reality I am disabled and the world is not accommodating people.
See there's the answer right there. See, because I was trying to prove, you know, that I wasn't disabled, so I would work, go to school, you know, be the good little worker bee and stuff. I get like 2 hours of sleep. 2 hours. The days I wasn't working, I'd be over in the library at my college studying all day, and it just took a toll on me.
Yeah.
You know, and just because someone else can do it, it doesn't make you better than them. It just means that your genes can handle it.
Right.
You know, and it's just, I'm tired. Like, you want to blame yourself, but the fact is, you've been like me. I've been abused. You've been abused, and it took a toll on both of us mentally.
Yeah, that alone did. Yeah, exactly.
We have nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
It wasn't our fault. Society demanded that act this way, believe this way, talk this way. And if you don't, you're an outsider, you're queer, you don't deserve good treatment. And see, that's what has happened to a lot of people. And that's why some people won't even go to get their mental health checked because they're so worried that they'll find out they are mentally ill. And they don't want that because they want everybody to look at them as normal, which doesn't exist. Oh, well, hello there, little guy.
Yeah, his name is Noah. He's very sweet. He likes to be on camera whenever he gets the chance. So, but yeah, I mean, you're so right, Michelle, and I just like I realized at my previous job, like working in an animal shelter, like I was getting bullied by a couple of my coworkers because like I do have OCD, and I do have like autism, and you know, I'm transgender and everything, so it's all just like a bunch of stuff that you know, and I mean, I'm sure having to wear the masks and everything didn't really make anything less stressful either. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, they were just like, I mean, one of my coworkers was just like basically accused me of doing two things that weren't true, but she just had assumed the worst about me and was just calling me out in front of people and just saying like, Erica, what are you doing? Or the other one was saying like, you walk like a toddler, you always drag your feet, or why don't you have a more up-to-date phone, or all these other things. And I did leave. Like I gave him 2 weeks notice, and I told administration at the shelter that part of why I left as abruptly and suddenly as I did, and it hadn't been as gradual, and I hadn't maybe stayed a little longer than because I might have, was because I was dealing with being bullied. I mean, there was also the absolute lack of a living wage. I mean, they were basically they were paying me minimum wage working part-time, so there's no way to make a living there, and that was devastating. But I mean, the bullying factor, I was just like, I need to get out of here. So I am thankful to be where I am now. I'm working full-time now. I'm getting 17 an hour. It's still not great. Like, I still like, wow, where did I go wrong? But like, I also have to like remember, maybe the fact of the matter is that I am disabled, and mentally and emotionally and everything, and I didn't have I had guidance, but I was young, stubborn. I did develop an alcohol dependency, and I didn't know what the entertainment industry was really going to be like. There was a lot of things that I didn't have the proper preparation for in order to succeed. And it is very easy to blame myself because there's a lot of pressure to do that. But I mean, I know that like I can't entirely. It's just hard because, when you're in a situation that's just not ideal, it's hard to not like be like, think about all the things you could have done differently to have prevented it from happening. But I mean, obviously I hope this job works as long as I need it to. Maybe it's serving a purpose, calling like or taking calls for like mental health and substance abuse related matters. Like it's maybe it is a better fit for me, and it'd be great because it pays better and it's full time, so that would be very validating. Like to think maybe I'm meant for something that has a better sense of a career opportunity. Well, good. Then I feel like maybe then my life can be lived still. I actually like feel more capable of like seeing or this like developing a relationship with guy I have been seeing since September, and feeling a little bit better about myself because like I'm making a little more money and everything. But I guess there's also that thought back in my head of like, oh, what if when they realize like I'm mentally disabled, like I have OCD or I have autism or I'm transgender. I mean, I think that they do have LGBT support apparently within the company itself, but yeah, it just I mean, I guess there's that still looming thing of like, what if they like start taking notice of me and are just like, picking at me, and or I just am not able to handle it, and the disability factor comes into play, and then it's like, I guess that would just be, in this case, it would be very ironic, being that it's pertaining to mental health and substance use issues. So it's just, but yeah, I mean, there's also just the added irony of it being Medicaid and my having a case against Medicaid for not covering transgender procedures. But anyway, that's a whole long-winded just talk about my work life as of late, and just my own ability or inability to handle certain things, everything, and just wishing that the world was better, that more money came from things that were more doable for us.
Yeah, and one thing that just absolutely hurts me is the fact that they think that disabled people, if we're poor or something, then we're not trying. And I think it goes back to this myth that in America, if you work hard, you'll get ahead. And I'm like, that's not true. 80 to 90, this oligarchy, this corporate capitalist oligarchy has made it to almost impossible for people to move up. And then they'll pick one person out of 100,000 who will make it, who got lucky or who knew the right people. And they'll be like, see, you can do it too. And I'm like,
and then everybody will worship that person, like the celebrities. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, there's something that everybody needs to start learning. Disabled people are, when they ask for help, are not trying to take advantage of you. They're not trying to leech off you. Maybe there's a few disabled people who do that, but are we going to punish a whole group for a couple of bad apples? No. It's just disabled people. If they can't live a normal life, there's nothing wrong with them on that. All they need is support and help. And there's nothing wrong with helping someone. We don't value loyalty, commitment, and things like that as much. We don't. I mean, and I know the person who left me about 2 months ago. I can tell people were getting into this person's head. You know, she like said she felt taken advantage of. And I just sit there and I was like, how could you say that to me? Because I did everything I could for you. I would stay up all night on the phone with this person, trying just to help them with their problems. And I never felt taken. But see, because I think the people she lives with and the people she works with, they probably put it in their head that I was trying to take advantage of her, and that was not the case. But see, that's how a majority of, or a big portion of the population look at disabled people. And also, I don't understand. If we get like married to someone, why shouldn't we be able to keep our disability?
Yeah.
I mean, you're making it harder.
You're just looking for an excuse to shame us. And yeah, I was supposed to have a disability hearing in February, honestly, but now that I have this job, it's just like, they're going to be like, oh, well, you're working full time. You don't need disability. And it's like, and I guess there is an aspect of that, but it's just like, again, what if this job is just like, you can't do it? You can't work. But maybe it won't be like that. Maybe it won't. But yeah, especially working at the Humane Society. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. So just keep your appointment.
Yeah, keep it anyway. Yeah, but especially like working at the Humane Society and everything, the animal shelter, like they made me feel like I was disabled working there, like the way they acted and treated me and expected so much of me. And I was like, wow, like I think what I did was I was starting to be like, wow, if this is a minimum wage job and I'm doing so poorly at this, then I really am incapable. But the truth of the matter is that it is like, yeah, the truth of the matter is that the system is like, a minimum wage job does not mean less work. And also, the fact of the matter is I wasn't going on lunch breaks. I was barely using my phone, and I was still being treated like I wasn't doing what needed to be done. It's like I've been literally doing nothing but my job for these 8 hours, and
they wanted you to do their work.
What did you say?
Basically. They wanted you to do their work, basically, because I ran into that when I worked at a place.
Yeah, and so then when they realized I was quitting, I guess maybe they weren't so happy, because it's like, oh wow, yeah, that person that you thought was so sweet and you could just walk all over isn't so dumb after all. Because like the day that I got in trouble with the manager when she talked to me, when I pulled up to the shelter, the car right in front of me, and I believe in signs, Michelle, but it had 777 on the license plate. 777, that's the opposite of 666, which of course is Satan. I took it as a blessing, and I'm just like, well, when I went in there and then got scolded for like being accused of things that were not true, I realize now maybe that was the blessing, is that it was like my opportunity to be like, yeah, that coworker is trying to make shit up about me, and thank you for seeing me out of this place, because I didn't want to be here anymore anyway. Like that night, I barely even slept. I was just so, I didn't even want to go back there. You know, it just had become so awful and unbearable there. And I mean, it's a shame that it has to be that way, but I mean, the truth is, I don't think I ever really wanted to be there in the first place. It just was, I was lost, and that job, I kind of fell into it. But yeah, I don't think I'm where I'm meant to be with this current job either. But I am grateful for it. I'm grateful I'm making more money, and that it's low key more so than where I was. So, but I mean, of course, there's that anticipation of, oh gosh, what if they start, you know, catching on to my inabilities or whatever, and you know, come after me.
I mean, because like I said, the person that I worked with, he would take like 20-minute smoke breaks every hour.
Wow. Wow.
And guess who? Like, there'd be like a whole room full of dishes, and I was the dishwasher. Guess who would have to do his dishes?
You would. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it would put me behind, and you know, like I was just sitting there like, you're asking a disabled person to pick up the slack for this person, and I'm just sitting there like, no. You know, I mean, I wasn't a miracle worker. I was disabled.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Kind of, I feel like how I was at my shelter job, like I was working really hard, and yet I was seeming like I was the one that was treated like I was doing the least work, or, you know, yeah, it was just like, how does this make sense? How does this add up? You know? Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just that like I said, you know, even the most progressive minded people, a lot of them have just been fed this nonsense about disabled people. And deep down, they think it a little bit. Not all, but yeah, a lot do. Because I had somebody tell me one time, "Don't you think it's suspicious though, Michelle, that you've been struggling for over 5 years?" Oh gee, I couldn't help that. My health deteriorated in those years. That things I could usually do before, I can't now. But see, they believe this nonsense like in America, if you just go to the right social whatever caseworker, get the right caseworker, the right social worker, everything will fix itself within a matter of 6 months. And I'm just like, no, that's not real life.
I wish it was. I was brought up to
I mean,
believe that was real life when I was growing up in my sheltered Catholic school. Yeah, spoiled upbringing, but I've learned life is far from that.
now I've had a couple of friends who have struggled longer than me. When I stayed at a shelter one time, there was someone who had been there for 15 years. And this person would fill out application after application after application every day. And it took this person 15 years to get a job. Yeah. But if you were to tell somebody who is a useful idiot to this oligarchy that we live in, they would be like, they're just not trying hard enough. I'm going to go tell him that. People who knew him, people who had been there a couple of years themselves, people who were there a long time ago and then came back and saw him again, they were just like, gosh almighty, what's going to take to get you out of here? And I was just sitting there like, I don't want that to be new. And I staying at a shelter, because I'm transgender, I had to stay at the men's shelter, but it pretty much did a number on me because I was almost assaulted a couple times. And it took a toll on me mentally. It did. You know, and being around all those people, I can't do it. I have social anxiety. One-on-one, I can do well with. You put me in a room with a bunch of people, and I turn into a blubbering idiot. You know, and that's just, you know, that's just how it is. So I am tired. I'm tired of everybody expecting us as disabled people to have to prove our worth. We got nothing to prove to you.
Yeah.
Everybody's worth should not be determined by how much money they make, what skill they bring to the table. Because here's something that's underappreciated: compassion, empathy, and stuff. Maybe you help somebody, and your compassion and stuff helps them get ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a skill. But yeah, just because you don't have this is what everybody's like. Oh, we believe in God in America. No, as the movie They Live with Roddy Piper suggested, this is your God.
Yeah.
The Almighty Dollar.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Even the so-called Christians and Catholics and them, the Almighty Dollar is your God.
Oh yeah.
Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't scorn and look down at disabled people. You wouldn't look down on homeless people. You wouldn't look down on people who are struggling.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
And I don't know about where you live, but where I live, Carmel and Fishers, it's Snob City there. I mean, especially Carmel, because the average income in that city is $120,000. That's the average income.
120,000. Wow.
Yeah. And I have a family member who lives there. He has such a condescending attitude about poor people and stuff. And I just sit there and I'm like, that's what it is to live in one of your upper class neighborhoods. I just looked at him and said, I don't want it. And he just had this look on his face, and I was like, I said, if you think you're better than certain people because they can't make money and stuff, I said, that makes you a bad person. I don't care if you do go to church and give money to your church and everything. I don't care.
And that's the sad thing about it is that these people in their lives are not like something that would make us happy anyway. So it's not like it's really even like that is what we want. But at the same time, like what we have is really shitty too in terms of how we're treated as disabled people. So it's just like there's no winning. It feels like it's just like a big catch-22 system of like, people that make a lot of money are miserable, but they're in a different way. And and so it's just like this is all awful, and it's just like it's really sad that it has to be like this, honestly, like that I don't like that. I mean, and I feel like I guess I'm young and able enough to some degree where it's like I do have a chance somehow to figure out like how to live the rest of my life not complying with all of this. I just have to figure out like how to go about it, and I guess in a way I'm already doing that to some extent, but I mean, I'm not completely clear. Like I would like for it to just be radically different from what it is, because it is really terrible the way the system operates and how it's just, you get your hopes up for a little bit. You have those moments of reprieve only to be crushed again. And I'm just like, no wonder people give up. No wonder like I'm struggling to like get back out in the world, like move back to LA or whatever, get out of my parents' house again, because it's just like, you're so used to just like trying and it just like being like more of the same shit. And it's just like, I mean, I'm not even 30, I'm almost 30, but I feel like I've lived a whole life or more than that. Like I feel like I've lived. I mean, I've both lived a lot and not lived at all in some senses, and
but it's the pressure that the society has put on people.
Yeah.
Either contribute something or you deserve to, live a miserable life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, what if what we contribute just isn't marketable? Making people's lives better, helping people and stuff.
And it's not marketable. Like I know exactly. Like the good things that we've done or do, like me not eating meat, me expressing my gender from a young age differently and helping pave a way and being true to myself. That stuff ain't rewarded. No,
it's not.
I didn't get a master's in courage or a doctorate in compassion. No.
Some like there was a former wrestler named Harry Saturn, and there were two men trying to, I can't say it because YouTube will, but force themselves on this lady. Well, Harry Saturn was an ex-Marine, so he jumped in and beat the guys up, and he to save her. Okay, well, that's a good deed, don't you think? You know, good for him that he was, you know, him and his wife went in there, and Perry's an ex-Marine, and he went to town on it. But here's the thing, they had a gun, and they shot him.
Oh, jeez.
And he had really bad injuries from that. He went bankrupt trying to pay for the surgery and stuff. A young man who served his country and saved a woman's life. How does he get rewarded? He had to use a GoFundMe page. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, you know, that we have our veterans who are disabled, sleeping in homeless shelters, sleeping out on the streets. Disabled people sleeping out on the streets, being attacked just for being homeless, and people being like, oh my God, you're not like me. And I'm just sitting there like, get out of your bubble. Welcome to the real world, where not everything is able-bodied people who think alike, act alike, go to church, you know, and are all believe the same thing and everything. No, everybody is different somewhere.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have my closing statements, and you can have your closing statements. But I think this has been one of our best talks because this needs to be talked about.
It does.
And I think that we need to change the narrative. Instead of asking, what do disabled offer society, we should be like, you know, how can we help disabled people to maybe get to where they can contribute if they want, or if they can't, then they still will live a decent life.
Yeah.
We need to change the narrative that disabled people who can't live on their own or can't work and stuff are not useless. Like I said, you know, we talk about how we're into science and stuff in this country. Well, it doesn't show because, again, I hate to bring this up, but billions upon billions of atoms, DNA, particles, and stuff, and what you expect people to have the same one set, the same mind, the same beliefs, the same look, the same hair, eyes. I mean, you know, and the fascist party that was called the Nazis. Hitler wanted a blonde-haired, blue-eyed. He thought that they were just superior genetics. And I'm just sitting there like, what the heck? Like, that doesn't make anybody superior that has blonde hair and blue eyes. It just means that they're blonde-haired and blue-eyed.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead with your closing statement.
Yeah, I guess my closing statement is just, you know, I mean, a lot of times I just really just like hope that Jesus will just come back because it's unbearable. This life can just be really unbearable a lot of the time. And I don't want it to be that way. Like I want to find my way so it doesn't feel so bad. But it's taking a long time, and I mean the system definitely hasn't made it easier, you know. Yeah, I mean, basically, Michelle, talking to you has been a good source of support for me over the year. We started talking almost a year ago, so it's really, I definitely have appreciated or do appreciate all you do to help guide me and give me the understanding of myself that, you know, I'm not as bad as, you know, I'm made out to be or made to feel like by comparing myself or being constantly bombarded with people that are more successful than me or doing better than me just by simply going onto YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say this, I have to quote one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite shows of all time, and that's Scrubs. As Dr. Kelso once said, Nothing in this life that's worth doing comes easy. Now imagine that as a disabled person. We have to work twice as hard.
Yeah.
We have to deal with our disability. We have to deal with people. We have to deal with bosses. We have to deal with expectations.
Yeah.
And it can drain. I'm not gonna. I mean, that's why disabled people have a high rate of offing ourselves.
Suicide. And I think part of the reason I haven't done it is because I'm afraid I'm going to go to hell if I do. So.
Well, you got.
I know you tell me I won't, but I guess even that maybe doesn't comfort me enough, because I'm just like, you know, maybe there's just that part of me that doesn't want to do it either. So it's scared to do it. Yeah.
So I've had those thoughts too, and I think that.
Or I'm scared I'll try and then I'll fail and then be permanently crippled or something.
Well, I think with me, like, I've come close, even in the last month or so, because of, you know, what my friend did, and someone who was like a mother to me passing away. It was like, I thought about what example would I set for my loved ones and people who know me, and I got thousands of people who follow me on social media. So I thought, you know, as much as I wanted to do it, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that within itself is making a statement. See, it's
Not
okay
doing it, choosing to stick it out and feel the pain of life. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna criticize people who have done it. I'm sure that, you know, they did it for their reasons and stuff. But also, I think that life wants us to give in sometimes, and I refuse to do it. You know, I mean, I've been kicked down by life so many times, but I keep getting up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep getting up. Every time I fall down, I'm gonna get right back up.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good lesson to teach people, especially if you're LGBTQ, disabled, or whatever.
Yeah. Autistic. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope everybody out there learns something from this. Please be kind to disabled people. Try to understand where we're coming from. And try to make the world a more disabled friendly place. Because there are millions upon millions of people who are disabled. Even if you can't see the disabilities, they're there. Well, Erica, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for your wonderful insight.